Derrick Rose finally has a new home as he signs with the Detroit Pistons in NBA free agency. What is going on, y'all? Five Sports Talk back at it with another video talking, of course, some NBA here to talk about some breaking news in NBA free agency, as I will be doing so with a lot of other breaking news in NBA free agency, and that is Derrick Rose agreeing to a 2-year deal with the Detroit Pistons. As he's going to Detroit now from Minnesota. We all know, of course, Derrick Rose from his long time in Chicago. But here to break down this deal with the Detroit Pistons, why he signed with them, what really, propelled the Pistons to go after Derrick Rose, I believe, and talk about everything else in between. But before I do so, if you're new to the channel, again, make sure to go ahead and subscribe. Hit the button down below to go and subscribe to the channel, but also turn on the post notifications. I post daily videos. You don't want to miss that. Also follow me on my social media links down below for my Twitter and my Instagram. I tweet a lot, post a lot of stories on IG. You don't want to miss anything other than what I've told you, or you don't want to miss anything, period, is what I'm basically trying to say. But point being is, let's get on with it. Let's talk about this signing, and let's do it. So, let's start off with the terms of the deal, and what do we have here? We've got a 2-year, $15 million deal for Derrick Rose, which basically equals out to about $7.5 million a year for D-Rose, which honestly, it's a very good bargain. Now, there were some talks about, the Bulls possibly bringing back Derrick Rose. You guys remember when those rumors were out there. And I said, look, I have no issues with bringing back D-Rose because actually we needed a point guard and we needed a veteran point guard, and Derrick Rose kind of met those criteria. I said it's all about price. And I was comfortable with Derrick Rose around maybe like a 5 to 7 million range, maybe even 8, but really around that $5 to $7 million range is where I was comfortable. And that's essentially what Derrick Rose ended up getting, a little bit on the high end. But good for D-Rose, man. Good for him because, honestly, he balled out last year with the Timberwolves. Averaged about 18 points, had that 50-point game. We know what he did with the Timberwolves. And, honestly, I wanted D-Rose to get paid. I just didn't want it to be at the expense of the Bulls. So, he goes to the Pistons, a division rival. And, again, $7.5 million. That's very solid for D-Rose. Very solid for the Detroit Pistons, okay? So I like this signing financially for the Pistons. Now, as far as the fit on the court, now let's go back to the board here and address and ask a couple of questions. So we've got, of course, the signing that I addressed. Now let's talk about the position fit. Is he the backup to Reggie Jackson, or is he the sixth man for the Pistons? Because this is kind of what their depth chart looks like right now. You got Reggie Jackson, your starting point guard, and then I'm assuming Derrick Rose is the backup point guard. And then you've got Luke Kennard, Bruce Brown, Langston Galloway. Their shooting guard, position was a revolving door last year. I mean, they did not have a set shooting guard last year, and they're going to lose Wayne Ellington this year in free agency. So I'm expecting Luke Kennard to be their starting shooting guard next year. But as far as the signing itself, the Pistons desperately needed bench scoring. They didn't have a lot last year for sure, so it makes sense in that aspect. And I do believe Reggie Jackson's not the long-term answer at point guard for the Pistons. I think his contract's up soon. Now, does that mean Derrick Rose is their answer at point guard? Not necessarily, but it's a 2-year deal, so they get to see, even if Reggie Jackson, they decide not to extend him, they still have Derrick Rose. But for the most part, I do think they plan to have Derrick Rose as the backup point guard, but also alongside Reggie Jackson. Derrick Rose can play the two in stretches. He can't play it for the entire game, but in stretches, you can roll out a Reggie Jackson, Derrick Rose lineup. And here's the thing, you just needed more scoring off the bench. You needed a bigger scoring punch next to a guy like a Blake Griffin and Andre Drummond. And really, Blake Griffin really is the only scoring option because Andre Drummond's not a very good offensive player. And Detroit cannot afford to rebuild right now. They need to obviously go for it with a guy like Blake Griffin. And if they're planning to build around him, they need to surround him with solid pieces. So I do believe Derrick Rose, financially, I love this deal for the Pistons. It's a very solid deal financially. But on the court, in terms of basketball fit, I do believe he addresses the need. I do believe he brings a scoring punch to the Pistons. I do believe he is going to help them. Not maybe a lot, but I do believe he's going to help them. So for those reasons mentioned, I do think this is a good signing for the Detroit Pistons because I do believe Derrick Rose, whether he's coming off the bench or whether he starts at the 2, again, maybe it could happen. I do believe he will provide the Pistons with what they need, which is more offensive weapons to surround and support Blake Griffin. So that's where I'm at with this signing. Again, happy for my boy D Rose out there getting paid. Even if it has to be with the division rival, I don't care. I'm happy for D Rose. Let me know what you guys think about this signing for both Detroit and Derrick Rose. How do you feel like the fit is there, man? If you told me, 5-7 years ago, Derrick Rose and Blake Griffin were going to be on the same team, I would have called you crazy, and I definitely would not have thought it was going to be the Pistons, okay? So, like I said, crazy free agency period. With that being said, let me know what you guys think. Leave a comment down below if you agree or disagree. As always, thanks for watching.